All right, so after high school, you said that's when things started turning up for you. That's when you started competing. This is what, you're about 3 years removed from high school. Mm-hmm. So tell me about the last 3 or 4 years and your like growth as a fighter, as a person, as a woman, all of that.
So much, I definitely figured out kind of like who I am at what I wanted at like a very early stage. I used to walk around high school and like not in a cocky way at all, but when people are like talking about like what they want to do after, I was like, I'm going to be an MMA fighter. You guys are going to see me in the UFC one day, Mm-hmm. And I just did that more in like a confident way. I definitely knew I still had a lot to improve and work on, but I knew like high school was great. I love school. I love learning, which is probably why I take such a liking to jiu-jitsu. I love being a student. Yeah. And especially since I'm a teacher all day, I love the part of my life when I get to turn it down and be a student and learn. And so I loved high school. It was great, but I was just like, oh God, I can't wait to finally have more training time, Yeah. So once I graduated, I was like, okay, now I get to really turn it up, I was like, I get to like devote summer to training and this and that, So I took it more serious also because as I was getting older, I knew like, okay, you can get in the cage once you turn 18. And so graduating high school at like 17, I was like, all right, cool. Like, let's get ready for this. Mm-hmm. So just still a lot more training, less time with like homework and whatnot, being able to just fully focus on training and work. And then started fighting at 18, and I kind of went crazy after that. After I turned 18, I did about 5 to 6 fights within less than a year. Oh, yeah. So I dove like super hard into it. I was just like, I always say, a little Donna Cerrone. I was just saying yes to everything, you know. And those are just the fights that were confirmed. There was many that like didn't happen, or they couldn't find me an opponent, pulling out, And so I just dove right into it, which was cool at the time, but which led to my big knee injury because I just wasn't slowing down.
Yeah, I was definitely going to bring that up. Yeah. Before we jump into the knee injury, I want to talk about a little bit about your fights. When you had your first amateur fight, I'm sure there's so many fucking mixed feelings and adrenaline and excitement and fear and anger and all of that shit. How was like... did you have like a fight camp for that fight, like a 4-week camp?
For sure. I for sure had like a camp and everything where they're all getting me ready for the first fight and stuff, And I always say like you can never compare the adrenaline of like a street fight or something compared to. I've actually never been in a street fight too, which I always just think that's a funny fun fact. I'm not a conflict person, but you can never compare like a street fight to a fight in the cage because you and this other person are training to fight each other, It was a smaller promotion, so I had no idea who my opponent was at the time, but just knowing that like you and somebody are equally preparing for war, It's
That's
crazy.
Fucking scary.
That's where
you
all
got
that
a set
adrenaline
date,
comes
set
in.
time. Hey, I'll see you fucking February 26th at 8 o'clock, motherfucker, with a third fight on the match. Yeah. What's up? That's fucking scary. How did you feel like in the beginning when it was first announced, like the build up going into it, and then like that weekend right before?
Oh yeah, it was crazy. I remember I'm young, I was barely 18 and just like, oh my God, I'm about to go in here like be on the same card as like these dudes that have been doing this for years, like, and I think we were the only girl fight of that night, and I was like, I gotta do my thing, and I also had a few other my teammates on that card. And I was like, I'm not going to be the one teammate to go home with a loss, We're not going to go 3-1 tonight because of me. And so, the suspense was just crazy. And it's just like, you don't really know what to expect, So leading up to it, it's exciting. But I always say once you're there and you start seeing like the arena or wherever you're at get filled.
That's when it starts building.
Oh, yeah.
So the night before, how did you feel?
Oh, I'm always a nervous wreck before the night. Even these days, it's still a lot. I'll purposely wake up very early the day before so that I'm finally like exhausted by the nighttime, because
so you can go to sleep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, take some
I'll keep myself very busy. Oh, that's actually a horrible story. But so I definitely learned like keep myself busy that day of like just being chill, but either just like if I want to like reorganize my room, do some training, do some reading, just something to just keep my mind busy all day. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot.
And then the day of, they're building up the arena, the fans start arriving, maybe the first fight of the night happens. How are you feeling through that?
It's funny. I always just say they can always just like, it's hard to read me that day because I am just like as resting bitch face as can be. Mm-hmm. And like typically even at the gym and around home, I'm a very bubbly, outgoing personality. Fight days and stuff, I won't crack a smile. I won't talk, I'm just very like... very focused.
Yeah, trying to keep all of your emotions in line.
Because I'm a very emotional fighter, you know, and it's a lot of emotions, and especially with as much time as I put into the training, like it means the world to me. I try to treat every fight like I'm fighting for like some UFC title, you know.
Yeah,
it means a lot to me.
I feel like you have to these days because there's so many fighters that are like so many people that are trying to achieve this dream, achieve this stardom. Yeah. You know, everybody's the hardest worker in the room. Everybody's putting in the work. So
yeah, and you can never underestimate that from your opponent, you know? So I would, no matter who I go in there with, I can never look at it as like, oh, this fight's just whatever. Like, no, you never know what to expect.
How confident were you when you went into that first fight?
I was pretty confident. Being so young and being my first fight, I was pretty confident. My team and my family are just such great support systems. I've always had I know some people have had very bad experiences with like coaches or gym drama or their family not supporting them. I've never had any of that. I've had such a blessed journey that my family is 100% supportive. I've been in the hands of great coaches and great teammates, you know? So I felt like, you know what? I'm ready for this. I'm made for this.
And then what was the result of the first one? I know you're 6-1 right now, right?
7-1, yeah.
7-1. So I'm assuming you won that first one.
Yeah, I had an arm bar in the first round in like a minute 25 seconds or something like that.
I watched a couple of your highlights. You just seemed like you go in there and just outclass the other person.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I'm telling, like, the adrenaline is just so much, but like I said, I fought again recently, but it's just definitely learning to calm those nerves, and I can't come out like a firecracker every single fight, you know. I definitely need to mature my fighting now.
Compose yourself.
Because a lot of my fights, I look back and they were cool, but I was younger, just more explosive, more just throwing and that, you know. I could so whoop like 17, 18-year-old Keana's ass, you know, and like as I should this age, you know.
It's all growth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think I'm excited to start finally doing like bigger fights, bigger venues, and see how I've matured as a fighter, especially being training under this newer gym for the past like 3 years. So.